Brilliance Audio presents Primary Target by Joe Weber, performed by Alexander Sendies. On the birthday of Soviet founder Vladimir Lenin, blowing snow and bone-chilling temperatures paralyzed Moscow. Thousands of the poor and homeless were standing in government-organized soup lines, shivering as they inched their way toward steaming kettles full of thin, near-tasteless broth. They were literally a stone's throw from where President Nikolai Shumenko would be paying his respects to their deceased founder. A sense of foreboding, some would call it despair, permeated the frosty air during this miserable day in April. Chaotic political upheavals, combined with a hair-trigger military desperate to compensate for the erosion in the Russian command and control system, were pressuring hardliners like Shumenko to make fateful decisions. The homeless and oppressed Muscovites watched as Shumenko and his entourage arrived at Red Square in their shiny black limousines. After the officials stepped out of their cars, Shumenko momentarily made eye contact with one of the dispirited men. The stooped man had hollow eyes and a twisted, angry look. The thick-set president nodded respectfully, then looked away and walked in silence. Unable to stifle his bitterness, he turned to his friend Yegor Pavlinsky, a former First Deputy Prime Minister. "Look at these wretched people," Shumenko grumbled. "I will not allow the Americans to continue to wipe their feet on us," he said venomously as they approached Lenin's granite tomb. "Their State Department has slashed funding for another 22 agencies in Moscow, and President Macklin has publicly humiliated me about our ties to Iran and Iraq." Shumenko gestured toward the soup line. "All this while the economic reforms the technocrats insisted on have impoverished millions of our people." "Da," Pavlinsky said angrily. "The mafia and the corrupt elite also shared the blame for this disaster." A fervent hardliner and consummate political deal-maker, Pavlinsky cleared his throat. "My friend," he said morosely, "our crisis, Russia's crisis, has reached the breaking point. The Americans are catnapping while our economic and political instability represents the greatest threat to global security today." Pavlinsky took a quick breath. "If we are to survive, we must infuse more money into our economy, and we must do it quickly." Pavlinsky's impassioned words prompted Shumenko to speak bluntly. "More money," he growled in protest, "for the mobsters to take to their offshore banks? More money for the corrupt bankers and businessmen to steal and send to Zurich?" Shumenko's eyes narrowed and his jaw tightened. "They have systematically looted the central bank and sent the money to a variety of phony asset management companies. We might as well pour the money into the sea." "We have no other choice," Pavlinsky shot back. "The economy is free-falling. We're bankrupt. We must stand together and do what's best for our motherland," he exclaimed. "Lower your voice," Shumenko said firmly. "We're riding a hungry lion. Speak quietly and calmly. If we don't do something drastic to improve our economy," Pavlinsky said through clenched teeth, "we will lose political control and the country will collapse in anarchy." 1917, Shumenko said angrily. "What? We have all the ingredients for another revolution." Pavlinsky paused, then lowered his voice. "We can avoid an overthrow and return our country to a position of global prominence," he said with deep emotion. "We can provide Russia with great wealth and strategic leverage if you listen to me." "I'm listening," Shumenko said mechanically. A virulent anti-American, Pavlinsky's angry voice suggested ominous intentions. "The millions of dollars Washington sprinkles on us, and the billions of dollars we make from Iraq, Iran, and other countries is nothing compared to the 4 trillion oil and gas bonanza in the Caspian Sea." Shumenko's eyes hardened, challenging his friend. "Keep your voice down," he insisted in a coarse whisper. "Working with Iran and Iraq," Pavlinsky said in a low, raspy tone, "we can provide a nuclear umbrella for a pipeline through Iran to the Persian Gulf. Russia, not the U.S. or the West, will control a key point of distribution, and we can drive prices much higher." We're running out of time, Shumenko sighed in frustration. As long as the Americans are entrenched in the Gulf region, your idea will only be a wistful dream. We can force the Americans out of the region, Pavlinsky said with a distinct harshness in his voice. Shumenko's eyes grimly reflected his impatience. I suppose you have a foolproof plan? Da, Pavlinsky said stiffly. The Persian Gulf will be our salvation. He paused, then turned to face Shumenko. If we fill the void, when the Americans withdraw. Yegor Reskovich, Shumenko said with passion. Think about how many people have underestimated the Americans in the past 200 years. Do you really believe the U.S. will pull out of the Gulf region? Da, Pavlinsky declared, seeing the surprised look on Shumenko's face. Allow me to explain how we can contribute to... Wait a second. The president interrupted as he stole a glance at members of his security detail. Not here, he said under his breath. We'll have dinner at my dacha. As you wish.